Welcome to Meet the Expert.
Bite size.
Isolation facility where if something happens to the health of those animals on the transport to your farm, you have the ability to identify that and remove those animals from your farm before they bring that pathogen into your resident herd. We typically would bring in gilts as weaned pigs, and we really would recommend that so that the health acclimation process can begin as early as possible in that gilt's life. So best case scenario, Peter, I want an isolation barn that is separate from my main farm. It may be connected to the main farm, but we have that connected door locked most of the time while those gilts are under quarantine, and we want to bring them in as weaned gilts 3 weeks of age. A minimum would be 4 weeks, but most common I see producers do is they'll build an isolation barn that'll hold more than one group of gilts at a time. And when I say group of gilts, I'm most commonly talking about 4 weeks worth of gilts. So we would bring in gilts every 4 weeks, and we would always have the youngest two groups of gilts that we have on site. Those two youngest groups would always be in that isolation or quarantine barn. They would go to a gilt developer unit, which on many farms really is just a finishing barn, a commercial finishing barn that is set up with varying sizes of pens and varying feed lines and feeder setups to ultimately try and help prepare those gilts from a reproductive standpoint. We'll graduate those gilts through the gilt developer. We'll move them from one stage to the next as we bring in new groups of gilts, and that existing group gets older and older.
Welcome to Meet the Expert.
Bite size.
In the swine enteric coronaviruses, we'll typically test those very early in isolation. So about 1 week after entry into isolation, we'll do the oral fluids for PED because we'd expect those to be positive early. For PRRS, we may wait a little bit longer. We may extend that out to the 3-week time frame. We wouldn't necessarily collect samples every week. We would target a specific week post-introduction for that particular pathogen where we think the animals should be positive if they're going to have been exposed during the transport to our farm. And at the same time, we want to get that done as soon as we can so that if they are positive, we get them away from our sow farm as quickly as possible.